Hello everyone, this is Infrares, and the game that I'm going to be reviewing is The World Begins With You. Before I get started, if you can smash the thumbs up button or subscribe, that would be super awesome and super helpful for the channel and for this game review. Now, let's go ahead and get started on this game review. You may not have heard about this game previously, and that's because this game was created for Wizard Jam 6 by Fabian Denter. He had about a little more than 2 weeks to create this game, and well, let's just go ahead and keep that in mind during this review. Some things to keep in mind is that because it was created by one person in that time span of about 17 days, there will be some points of the game that just feel unfinished or lack of actual gameplay. Now on that note, the first thing I want to start off with are the controls. I decided to enter the game immediately after loading up the main menu and didn't even bother to check on the control buttons or the control scheme for the game, which was a really big mistake. And it just kind of ultimately led me to having to go back into the main menu and starting the opening scene of the game over again just so I can figure out what the controls were. Now the controls are really simple and it's just WASD for moving, spacebar for jumping, which I knew right off the bat. Now the issue was that I didn't know that E and C and enter were actual controls in the game as well. So my first set of feedback is to add a control button from the menu option from within the game, as it's kind of a smaller inconvenience to have to go into the main menu just to find this out. Now, normally I would say we can just go ahead and teach the players in the first scene of the game, but I know that this game was built in a time constraint, so it's going to be excused this time around. So, moving on to the next flaw, and I'm going to have to say is going to be the camera. The fact that I didn't have control of the camera in an environment that actually requires certain views, as the depth of the certain environments were really hard to distinguish, really made this a big nuisance throughout the game. Plus, you created such a beautiful environment, and I really couldn't help but want to explore every detail that was put into the game, and some of the camera views really kind of steered you away from doing so. Now, these were really just my initial thoughts of the game, and as I mentioned earlier, it was created in a game jam in about 17 days, but at the time of me playing this game, I never really knew that. I honestly thought that it was a finished game. Now, not to spoil anything, but in the end credits I saw Wizard Jam 6 mentioned and immediately knew that it was just a game jam project, and kind of struck a light bulb in my head. Really made me think this game review over again. Aside from the two minor flaws, plus I guess a short gameplay of only about 30 minutes, it actually had the foundations of a great game that I would actually like to revisit if it were ever built upon. The controls were a bit basic, as I mentioned earlier, WASD for moving, space bar for jumping, and so on, and it could use some work, but for the most part I was able to do the task required for in the game. The camera was a bit annoying, but when I thought more about it, it actually added another layer to the game that just wouldn't be there if I had more controls of the camera angles. Along your journey, you were met with more challenges. In just 30 minutes, I was able to experience puzzles, some surveillance laser beams, and a beautiful world created. Can't really say much else without spoiling much of the gameplay, so all I'm going to say to conclude this review is that if you have 30 minutes to spare, please give this game a chance. Maybe even persuade Mr. Denter to expand on his creation. You can find this game on itch.io or by using the link in the description down below. The game is completely free, but if you'd like to donate any amount to the creator, it does help them out, even if it's just a little bit. I hope you all enjoyed my review of The World Begins With You. If you did, please smash the thumbs up button and subscribe for more indie game reviews. Leave a comment if you have played this game before or plan on playing it now.